Did you know that 40% of wives will admit that they have had an extramarital affair, entangled, as Jada Smith would call it? Tonight on Wife Life You, I am going to really talk to you about why women and wives cheat. And it's really not what you think.
We're bringing sexy back. We're bringing sexy back.
Let's get it started. Harder, won't you give it up? What you want, body?
Thank you so much for joining me tonight on Wife Life with Gail. Cheating is something that has been going on for centuries, but mainly it's been talked about on the man side of infidelity. But Jada has made it famous by being entangled. And really, what does entangle mean? It means to intertwine, it means to mix, it means to jail. And so when she said she was entangled, she literally meant that she committed adultery. And she just gave it a new name, and it's been the buzz. But again, 40% of wives will admit that they have had either a mental or physical affair on their spouses. And it's really not what you think why women cheat, right? Most of the time, when we talk about guys who have cheated and husbands who have cheated, it's been all about the sexual side of things and not getting what they feel that they want out of the relationship. But women cheat for so many different reasons. And again, it's not always the sexual piece that comes into play. And tonight, I just want to dispel some myths about why women cheat. Okay. And again, it's not what you always, what everybody thinks. It's all about the sex, right? And it is really more emotional for us. And so tonight, let's explore that. But before I really get into this, if you have not hit the subscribe button and join all the sexy wives from around the world that tune in every single Thursday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and become a One Sexy Wife and get notices on every time that I go live here on this channel. And I do that every single Thursday. So 40% of wives, again, will admit that they cheated on their husband. And that was either mentally or physically, right? And having a mental affair, it can be more devastating on a marriage than a physical affair. And I know you say, really? Yeah. When you physically have given somebody your body, it can affect a marriage. But when you really have mentally checked out, and you have really mentally tapped into another person, that is harder to get rid of, right? Because, a sexual act, being a sexologist, only truly lasts about 5 minutes, right? You can have foreplay, but the climax literally only lasts no more than 5 minutes. And that's when you're in a really controlled and experienced environment. But I'm not here to talk to you today really about sex. I'm really here to talk to you about being entangled, right? The new word, the new buzzword, which really leads to infidelity. And that's really what we're going to talk about. So let me just answer the question. Why do married women cheat? The first thing is feeling unappreciated in the marriage. And a lot of times men equate feeling appreciated by giving us gifts, by giving us accolades, by building us up, but really feeling unappreciated about the day-to-day things that we do in our marriages and for our families. And so many people can be taken for granted, not just the woman in the relationship, but also the man. So really just feeling unappreciated, feeling ignored, like you really don't matter, even though he's saying words that you want to hear, but you don't see any feelings behind it. You don't see any actions behind it. And I just know in my practice as a marriage counselor and coach, so many women are feeling unappreciated in their relationships. And it just takes one open door, one guy to tell you, I appreciate what you do every single day at work. I appreciate you showing up and giving your all. I appreciate the small things that you do around the office, right? And that can open up literally a mental affair because you're looking to get that that those words of affirmation, and allowing someone to see that you really exist. Because a lot of times in our day-to-day lives, even though we're doing it, and even though your husband might be telling you you're doing a good job, or the food tastes good, or the house is always clean, or you know taking care of yourself, or whatever those things are, you still feel unappreciated because it doesn't seem like there's any actions behind it. At least if you're getting appreciation and those kind of things at work, that could lead to a raise. It could lead to a higher position. It could lead to awards. But most of the time when you're at home, right, you're not going to get a raise. You're not going to get an award, right? You're going to get, for Mother's Day, get a card or something like that. But most of the time you don't get that high, that feeling, that void that needs to be filled from your husband, even though you articulate it. And not saying that you have a bad husband, not saying that he's not giving you some of the things that you want, but it's just that energy boost, that shift that you need that someone else gives you. Number two, she craves intimacy, not just sex, right? And so many people equate sex and intimacy as one is the same. And especially with my research that I have done with men, 85% of men clump intimacy and sex in the same thing, and it's truly not the same, right? And that's the reason why I created the program Intimacy, Love, and Sex. Because when you're dating somebody, you are intimate. And what intimacy really truly means is allowing someone to see inside of you, the true you. No barriers, no walls, no preconceived notions. Just all of you, like, here I am. Into me you see, right? And that's what happens in the dating stage. Before you even have sex, you're going out on dates, you're learning to trust each other, you're laughing, you're smiling, you're holding hands, you're kissing, you're rubbing on each other, you're hugging, you're doing all of those things. Has nothing to do with what happens in the bedroom. It happens outside of the bedroom. You look beautiful, you're handsome, oh my God, you smell good. All of those things are amazing intimacy things that happen. And then you fall into the love stage. Oh my God. Like, I have literally bared my soul. This person knows me. They vibe with me. They make me laugh. And so therefore I love them, right? And all of this can happen gradually, or it can go from 0 to 100. And when you are in the vibe and you're feeling the intimacy, and then you're like, I feel these flutters, I love this person, that's when magic happens in the bedroom. That's when love and sex and all of the amazing sex happens. But most people don't let themselves think about the process, intimacy, love, and sex. And that's the reason why I really wanted to change that narrative. Because sex and intimacy are two different things. And if you have amazing intimacy, you usually have amazing sex, right? Because that chemistry, that boom, all of that happens. And let me just tell you, marriages and relationships are sustained on intimacy. It is sustained on intimacy, because if something happens where you're dealing with an illness or whatever, that intimacy, that touch, that love, those words of affirmation will sustain you through anything. You can have sex without intimacy. Prostitutes do it every single day, right? Drug addicts do it every single day to get, their fix. If they need that in order to, get their fix, they will have sex with the drug dealer in order to be able to have that fix. So it's no emotions are tied to it. The prostitute will tell you, because I've talked to one, they have to numb themselves to do the act and keep it moving to the next guy. But when you truly have intimacy, it is you have allowed somebody in your personal space. And that's where the bond is. And so many marriages and relationships are missing intimacy. So therefore the sex is not good, or the sex is missing, because you're not wanting to give of yourself just physically because you want to give it spiritually. I hope I'm making sense to you. Number 3, you're overwhelmed by the needs of others. As women, we have so many things on our plates that we really don't take the time to figure out what we want. And we're looking for our partners to take some of this stuff off our plates in order for us to find us again. And for us not to feel needed in a way where it's physical, like the cooking, the cleaning, the picking up, the delivery, all of those things, the homework, all of those things. We just want to feel needed and wanted as a woman. And so we're overwhelmed with so many different things. So if this guy rides in on as a knight in shining armor and takes all of these things off, and I can just be a woman, I can just feel sexy, I can feel beautiful, and not have to worry about all of these things while I'm with him, that opens the door. That opens the door. And we don't have to, we can leave, we can escape all of these things that are overwhelming us in our own households. Number 4, she feels lonely in her marriage. Even if your husband comes home every single day, he's a great provider, he's all of those things. But if he's not speaking your love language, if you guys are not vibing, studies have said you can be in a room full of people that are talking to you every single day, but you still feel lonely. That's what can happen in a marriage, especially if the communication has broke down, or if you're communicating your needs, your wants, and your desires, and he's just not listening. He's not getting it. He's taking you for granted. He's saying, oh, she's going to always be here because we have these kids, we have this house, we have all of these things, and so she's being treated well. No. Are my emotional needs and my emotional well-being being met in my marriage? Again, that's why we start going to look outside. That's why we want to go play outside with somebody that literally understands me and listens to me and makes me feel like I'm not alone in this world. Number 5, responding to infidelity that has happened on the other side. Sometimes women cheat for revenge. And I know you're like, no, Gail, yes, we do. If he did it, I'm going to do it too. Now, it doesn't happen as often, but we do have revenge entanglement. We have revenge entanglement. And does it make us feel good? Absolutely not. 62% of women who have been entangled say that they regret doing it because their spouse had done it to them. But they were so hurt and they needed to feel needed and wanted to fill that void of what made him step outside of the marriage. So they decided to get entangled as well. And most of them felt really, really sad that they had given a piece of themselves to somebody else that really didn't care about them. It was all about the act. And we as women was not created just to give ourselves away, just for an act. That's the reason why when you talk to a prostitute, which I have, right? They have to be in an altered state to be able to continue to give themselves away to multiple men. And so they will tell you they get high, they get drunk or whatever because they feel dirty and they feel nasty after they do it. So they just are not created to sleep around. That's not was the will of God for our lives as women. No shade to you, but just to be honest with you, we was not created that way. So they felt dirty, but they did it out of revenge. Number 6, not being sexually fulfilled in your own home. If your husband is literally making you feel like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and not really allowing you to get in a space where you're receiving pleasure, It's nothing wrong with a quickie, but really allowing yourself, and he is putting you in that mode where you feel special, not used, but really meeting your sexual desires. It becomes very easy for you to step outside of your marriage. Because when we get in a space where we are really receiving pleasure on a regular basis, there is nothing like being involved with your husband, because we was created to be his wife and to give and to receive pleasure. But if you're not constantly being sexually fulfilled and you've had this conversation with your spouse outside of the bedroom, you have created the roadmap for him to understand what pleases you. That's another reason why we get entangled with another man. Because a lot of men understand that we need to be coaxed. We need to be touched. We need foreplay. We need to hear all of these amazing words in order for our bodies to react the way God has made them to react. They are truly microwaves. We are truly ovens, right? And if your spouse continues to treat you like a microwave, you do walk away feeling empty. So that opens the door for the right man to come along that treats you the way you need to be treated in the bedroom. Magic happens and you become addicted to that high, because having orgasm on a regular basis puts you on a high. Okay. And number 7, you're just not in a healthy marriage at all. And you have decided that you're going to stay in the marriage for convenience because of the kids. We have a mortgage together. We have car notes together. My mother lives with us. All of these reasons, women will rationalize that I need to stay in this marriage, but I need something else on the side. And when we make up our mind that we need something else on the side, it doesn't matter about all this other stuff, right? And that's the worst part about women becoming entangled. We're pulled in 2 different directions. All of these things are not being met over here, and this guy is doing it for me. But I love my family. I actually love my husband. He's just not understanding that I need this intimacy part to be strong in our lives. This communication part needs to be strong in our marriage. So therefore, I'm entangled. And like I told you, entangled means to, like, you're trying to get out. You're trying to figure it out. That's what it means to be entangled, to be intertwined. And it's hard to separate the two. So you begin to live this double life. But I want to encourage you today that you can have a fulfilling marriage, whether he's cheated or not, and you don't have to be a part of that 40%. You can have an amazing, amazing marriage. And it starts with communication. It starts for you to really understand what you want and how to get it. Speak your husband's love language. Get him to speak yours. Lay everything out on the table and tell him, this is how I am feeling. I don't want to step outside of this covenant, but I need for you to do X, Y, and Z. And do it outside of the bedroom, and do it when you both are able to have an intelligent conversation. Because entanglement is happening every single day. And statistics say that it used to be that men was like at 75% and women was like at 20%. We are catching up. And some statistics say that we're even when it comes to stepping outside of our marriages. And it has to do with media and all of these different kind of things. So I want to thank Jada for getting entangled and making her life so public. Because again, so many people think that it's only men who cheat and cause infidelity and cause the breakdown of families. And that's not the case anymore. And so I want to tell you today, there is hope. I am a family and marriage counselor, coach, or whatever, and I'm here for you. And thank you so much for joining me here tonight on Wife Life with Gail every single Thursday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I will see you next week, and make sure that you don't get on the path of being entangled. I love you to pieces. See you next Thursday.
I don't want you give it up. What you invited, we're going